people? A2TP podcast, episode 69. We are back. How are you? I'm doing good.
I was slow for a minute. I did 6 and then I couldn't think of how to do 9.
69.
69.
That's a special number to some people. 69. It's your boy International Walk.
It's your girl Taj, the chocolate co-hostess with the mostest.
And we are back for another episode of A2TP podcast. You can go to A2TP podcast, the website, and catch us there. You can go to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Radio Public, TikTok, Breaker, and Spotify. Catch us on all those platforms. Our faces. How are you?
I am well. I'm doing well. I'm pretty good mentally. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to jump the gun. So
Mentals first.
Mentally, you know, of course, I never know what the show is going to be about, but I know that you're going to ask, how am I? So I did a little thinking to think like, how are you really? And I'm like a 7.5, which is good. Like, you know, I thought
What's that about?
I say 7.5. Actually, I'm going to give myself an 8. I'm going to say 8. And I thought back to, you know, this week being the week leading up to Mother's Day. And for some reason, last year really stands out in my mind that, you know, I usually have some mental, emotional struggles around that time. Last year, for whatever reason, I just remember it being really difficult. Now, I ain't making no promises because it's not here yet. But I remember this week leading up to it just feeling so heavy and emotional. And I don't feel like that. And I mean, again, I ain't making no promises, you know, but I hope, and I'm trying to be intentional with my bandwidth and my mental space. So I'm just going to be proactive and faithful to God that I'll stay in this mental space and feel good. You know, we haven't been at our complete best, you know, over the last couple of days. So I guess that's why I'm not like a 9 or a 10. But, you know, you're my baby forever. And so I'm an 8.
Okay. Finances?
Finances is a 10. I've decided that I will always say finances is a 10 unless, God forbid, something happens. But even then, I'm going to say finances is a 10 because I know he'll make a way.
That's the way to think about it.
Exactly.
Work
is a 1.
And we just got back into the swing of things this week. What's work like?
A 1.
A 1?
No, I won't say it. It's a 7. Work is just busy, and it's one of those things. We've talked about this before in terms of work, where I'll pat myself on the back. I'm good at my job. I'm good at what I do, and I work with some people who are as well. There's other people that have opportunities, and when you come back and people are like, "Oh, I had a question. You know, I know you were out." It's like, did you wait 10 days to ask this question and nobody else can answer that? Or it's like, hey, do you have a quick minute to chat? I have some things I need to, you know, some answers to. It's like, really? Like, nobody else knew this in the last 10 days? And it's not one of them things where it's like, oh, I feel good because I'm the only one that know. It's a little exhausting because it's like, really? But, you know, I take the good with the bad. I know there are some people who are being forced to like go back into the office and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want that. That's not a situation for me, even though my job, my organization I work for, they are transitioning back to office. My position doesn't warrant that, and I'm grateful for that. So again, you take the good with the bad. I have a lot of flexibility as far as my time and so forth in my day. But yeah, work is a 7.
Physicality.
Physically, you know, I was thinking I want to do a detox. You know, we heard some talk about that on the Breakfast Club the other day, but this is the caveat to that. I want to do it with like I don't want to make no juices and all that kind of stuff, like, because I want it to taste good. I think it's easier to do when you're buying it and it has a little, like, I don't want to be mixing my own spinach and stuff. Been there, done that, and some of them just don't taste good. And I think physically I feel a 7. You know, we've been trying to do some things to be healthier. We got a goal between us. We're not ready to share yet. And just not really a goal. We just made a promise to each other to do things differently, and we're doing that. So last week, y'all know we went skating. It was fun, a lot of fun, part exercise too, but the goal was really to just be fun. It just ended up being
A workout.
dual benefit. I fell, wasn't even skating and fell, trying to be cute and he making a video for y'all, and I fell. My knee, bust my knee up, but doctored it up that night, so it's not as bad as I think it would be. So yeah, that's part of the reason why I ain't attend. And then, we did a little walking, my hips, I can feel it. I've been doing a little bike riding, my calves, I can feel it. And just overall, like, I feel like I want to flush out my body. So that's something maybe we can talk about. Would you be willing to, have you ever considered that?
No.
No, you wouldn't be willing?
No.
Like, what about, okay, maybe not a full detox where, like, you drink juice for 3 days, but what if it was, like, it's like, replacing one meal with a detox juice?
No, I probably wouldn't do that. I don't, I'm not shocking my body like that. Like,
Okay.
I don't want to do shit to my body like that.
Okay.
So no. Mental, I am probably an 8 too.
Wait.
Oh, what?
How are you?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm good. I'm okay. I'm good. I could say, probably mentally, I am probably about an 8. Probably for the same reasons, us not being, 100% or our normal selves. I ain't gonna say our normal selves, but just not being ourselves, the way that we're used to. Finances, I would say 8.5, 9.
Who took your money?
No, I'm just, we're gonna be, a place later on this month, so I just gotta prepare for that.
Okay.
But ain't nobody take my money.
I like surprises.
Work is probably like shit. I would say work's like a 6. Just got a lot going on at work.
I don't usually hear you say that.
Well, it's just a lot going on. Nothing I can't deal with, but stressful.
Okay.
Just to say the least. Physically, I feel good physically. Yeah, I feel good physically. I do not, even walking the hill we walked yesterday, I don't feel it like I thought I would.
Well, because it was a truncated
It was making
walk.
my butt itch while we was doing it, but I didn't feel it in my muscles like I thought I would.
Well, sorry that it had to end short, but
I probably had like 2 trips and then I was out. Again, I'm not gonna hurt myself or get it to a point where the workout that I did makes me hate it, so I can't do it the next day.
Right, because you work out so hard, like I'm going full force, and then it's like,
And then the next day I got no willpower or determination to do, or motivation because I'm hurt. So yeah.
What's the saying? How do you eat the elephant?
What you mean?
How do you eat the elephant?
A piece at a time.
Exactly. You don't just gulp it all down. So, and I say that because that's a mentality that I have to remember for myself. You know how I am. Like you always say, when you get your teeth in something, you go full force. And I don't want to be that person anymore because, like you say, you get exhausted quicker than if you just do it bite by bite. So, eat the elephant bite by bite.
Why is it an elephant though? Shouldn't you eat everything bite by bite?
I don't know. That's just what the saying says. I think. I think because the elephant is so big, that's where the colloquialism comes from.
It'll take a while. Like it's about the long game.
I think so. Yeah, that's one of those colloquialisms that you heard and you just kind of like when you always say when something what's the street you say from? I can't even remember. Broad and it's a bit like when people say since time immemorial. What does that really mean?
Since the beginning of the time.
Right. What's the thing you always say from broad? It's 2 streets you always say. That's like it's a saying that you say. I can't think of it, but it's one of them things that it has some history to it. But yeah, you can say how do you eat the lion? Well, but who eats a lion? But who really eats the elephant?
Nobody. That's what I was saying. Why does it have to be an elephant? I didn't get
I
the
think
whole
it's
elephant
because
thing.
it's so big. That's where it comes from.
So the long game comes in.
Yeah.
Like it'll take a while.
Yeah. What's your wiles and woes this week? Or which one do you want to start with?
Wows. Just that I made it another week. Just the first week getting back to work since vacation. Really stressful, and just that it's the middle of the week, and yeah, it's just I made it another week. So that's my wow. Woe is just almost like you said, you come back from work. It's like amazing that it's like a gift and a curse, because it's amazing how people seem so out of it and helpless when you're going, and you think like you're a part of a team and people should be doing stuff and making phone calls and doing this, but it don't happen that way. And you just wonder, like, damn, just because I took off, like everybody took off, like everybody off,
right?
But that's just it, the stress of it.
Does it make you feel like you got to do your job differently or you have to pivot so that in the future people handle things? Like, do you have to change how you move so in the future people can change how they move?
No, because I'm not going to be available on vacation ever.
No, I don't mean that. I mean change how you move while you're at work so that next time you're not at work, they can move differently.
Just by telling them.
Oh.
I mean, other than setting up the job, I can't do it any better than that. I can't write out a list any better than that. So, and it's not like my guys. It's mainly office people. But it's not like the field people.
Right, yeah. I mean, I didn't know exactly who you were talking about, but I just meant in general. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's my wows and woes. What's yours?
Wow, I would just say, being in a good mental space. Last week we talked about me not feeling 100% myself, and I think the physical and mental was kind of intertwining. And although sometimes men think they're right and they think they know everything, ladies, I know we are here on that. My husband says things to me and I kind of rebel sometimes, not because just for the sake of rebellion, but just like, you don't know everything. But he just kind of challenged me to do things a little differently, using my brain in different ways, in different capacities. And I've been really intentional about that. And it has been making me feel good. So in a short period of time at that. So that's sort of like a wow for me, saying, just you were right in being able to, I know you always have my best interest at heart, even though sometimes your approach is a little like, but
that's just me, and it's not about being right. I just want you to be healthy. That's all.
Yeah, I know. These damn kids. And I don't want to go into details, but I feel like as parents, loved ones, whatever role you play in people's lives, again, it's like a gift and a curse when you want to give children a better life, in the sense of not having them exposed to like the street life and things like that. But it comes at the sake, and not in all cases, but it comes at the sake of them not having the street smarts that we may have had, because we grew up in a different environment. So it's like, I want you to be safe, so I want to kind of shelter you from the world, but then in doing that, it makes you stupid and you're not as aware as if you were in the streets. And I don't want to go into details. My nephew got caught up in some dumb stuff. Thank God it wasn't worse than what it was. But for me, as soon as I heard the situation, I know what that is. I know what that's about. I know the whole game plan. I know that play. Like, I completely, without being in a situation, can almost probably tell you word for word how a conversation went. But for him, it's like, yeah, after the fact, I kind of, and it's like, how don't you know that? And again, I'm not going to speak into details about that situation, but I will tell you this real fast, and I can tell y'all this. Him and a group of friends went to, and this is not the situation he got himself into. This is something different, so I can tell y'all this. Him and a group of friends went to Miami for spring break with one of his friends' parents, right? They go to Miami. They had a great time, right? So I found out they lost collectively. It was 4 of them. Yeah, collectively it was 4 of them. They lost $700. Guess from who? Just guess from who?
3-card money?
Yes! Like, y'all y'all know where y'all go. Like, I remember people used to be downtown. They in New York, any major city, and they would be, follow the card or follow the ball or, all that kind of stuff. So what did they say? Well, the first time, we did it, we just did it for fun, and we got it right. And then the guy said, well, won't y'all do it to win some money? Of course. Like, that's the game. He's going to let y'all win the first time.
Well, the thing is, it's not a game. It's a scam.
Well, right.
3-card Monte is not a game.
Well, that's
something
what
you play.
No, I mean, that's the guy's game. That's his scam.
Right.
To let you win the first time so you feel like, oh, I got this. I'm good. I ain't lose nothing that time. Now I'm going to spend my money because since I got it right the first time, now I'm going to win. You're never going to win.
Never.
So between the four of them,
when you win the first time for $20, you're supposed to leave.
Well, no, let me tell you. That ain't how it happened. I told you, between the four of them, they lost $700. The first time, each of them put up $100 in loss. Now, thank God they didn't keep going further collectively, but one of their friends decides he got $300, and I guess his thought was, I'm gonna win our money back. And then he lost that, and then they stopped. Thank God they stopped there. But it is one of those situations where it's like, are you kidding me? Did you really get... And he probably had no clue because, again, being sheltered, not being exposed to that.
Scam and thinking it's a game, thinking it's something you just saw in passing and like, oh yeah, I know where the card at. But those guys are slick.
Yeah, and you're never gonna win. So that's just, that was just the woe. Like, I mean, that part was funny, even though that was stupid on their part. But the woe is just kids sometimes, and you just gotta stay prayed up for the children in our life because you can't always be with them. You can't always protect them from stuff, but you just gotta pray that God protects them, guides them, leads them, and then when they do find themselves in some stupid situations, that it's not as bad as it can be. So, yeah,
that's crazy. My sister lost money on 3-card Monte, but
really?
not like $150 years ago or something like that, but not $700. I mean, $700 is like, I know that guy was happy as shit.
Yes, he was so happy seeing these young boys coming.
Get the fuck out of there because there's some kids, and he probably like their parents probably gonna come back.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy? I've never lost money on it because I don't know why. Like, I'm sure, like, going downtown when we were younger, my mom and or my grandma, it was just always instilled in me, that's a scam. You don't play that. Like, you see the people playing it, and it's like, you look at them like, look at this dummy. Like, I remember that as a kid, always knowing.
My Nana taught me that was a scam.
Yeah.
On the 48 bus going downtown with her guys on the back of the bus, she told me that was a scam. And also, I remember her playing one time, and the guy let you win first for $20, and she just walked away. She was like, that's how you're supposed to do it.
Yeah, and the crazy, I've never even stood and watched anybody play to like...
It's illegal because they move a lot.
Well, yeah, they be having a cardboard box.
They pick up the cardboard
but
and
I'm saying, I never even tried to see if I could watch it to see where the sleight of hand comes into play because... Yeah, I just always knew, like, it's a scam. Like,
Those guys do that shit 500 times a day, every day. You can't see it's too slight. You can't see it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you can't see it.
That's crazy.
You asked me a question earlier that I thought was a good question, and it was, what are the benefits a man gets in a marriage that he doesn't get in a romantic relationship? And I just thought I'd flip the question a little bit to what are the benefits a man/woman gets in a marriage he or she doesn't get in a romantic relationship. So what would you say?
You want me to go? So, and again, I know we always say this isn't a religious show and all that, but I truly believe and I feel that it has, like, bam, came down in our life 100%, that the biggest thing you get to me is the blessing from God. Like, I know people say, oh, you don't have to be married. You can live together and do all the things that married people do and be committed to each other. Nobody cheats. It's honesty, commitment. It's that whole thing. And you do it for years. You rock out like Oprah and Stedman.
Is that not true?
And that's all well and good for those who may want that. However, I do feel like there is, you take, and whatever religion you may be or follow or practice, there's a spiritual ceremony for a reason, I believe, because there is something there is some connection. That's why they say like the 3-strand relationship, like that braid is supposed to be you, your spouse, and God. And it makes a difference. I don't, and I will be the first to tell you, when, you know, we always were going to get married. Like whenever the time allowed itself, we were going to get married. That just, it is what it was. 2002, you asked me to be your wife. That was our plan. Since then, we were going to be married. I'd be lying if I said when I was 12 and I loved you, I knew I would marry you. But we knew from 2002 we would be married. When the time came, for me, it was like, we've been doing this. Like, let's just go to the court. Like, I just want to change my name, like, so that when it's on paper, I no longer have to explain, or, you know, I'm not just writing it, but my ID doesn't match it, like all of that. Like, for me, it was like, let's just go to the courthouse, get this done, so we can have that piece of paper, as some people may want to call it. And it probably wasn't until we started going through marital counseling, like premarital counseling, that I really started to realize
the gravity of it.
And to be completely honest, it probably wasn't until after we were married that I felt like it literally felt like there was a difference. Like, I'm a wife. That's it. And it like, not in a way of like bragging, but it was like, you know, when we jumped over the broom, just for fun, not for any real spiritual sense, like I know some people do, but it was kind of like crossing that, like, okay, now I'm on this side. Like, I was okay on this side. We was all good. Everything was loving. We was loving each other. You know, it was what it was. But now I'm on this side, and this side do feel different. So that was one of the benefits that I felt for me, that spiritual connection. And 2, I think and this might be kind of not to answer for you, because I am talking about how I felt. You felt different as a husband. So that affected me in a way that was like, okay, he already loved me, but here's that extra love of a husband. He already was protective of me. Here's that extra protection of a husband. You know, he already wanted the best for me in whatever ways, and here that is even more. Like, that is what it was. And then in addition to that, we can talk about the financial aspect. Not that people can't buy houses and do those things together when they're not married, but it did make a difference. Remember when we were in the process of moving, people had this choice. They wanted to know if we were married, because they had a previous buyer that they had an argument and changed their mind. So they wanted to make sure that we were married. Not to say that people who are married can't change their mind, but they wanted to know that we were married. I think it gives to society, not that we want to care what society says, but it's also like a signal to society, or
it shows a sign of stability.
Yeah, an indicator to society, like, okay, this isn't just boyfriend and girlfriend. There's some stability here. Not that marriages don't fall apart, but
of commitment,
right?
That people can
solitude,
see.
like they're on one path here.
Yep, they're all the same page.
Yeah,
you would assume.
Right. So that you know, piece there. When people talk about the financial part, I don't really see that as a benefit per se, unless God forbid one of the people dies, or I don't see it as a benefit in terms of marriage, unless something bad happens where there is no more marriage, in the sense of somebody's dying or you're getting a divorce. Then it's that financial incentive, because you get somebody's money, whether it's insurance money or alimony, palimony. So when people say it's a financial incentive, I think the same financial incentive you can get in like a Oprah Stedman relationship is like, it's still there. Now, one person may choose to say, oh, I wouldn't do this for my husband or wife, but I wouldn't do this for my boyfriend or girlfriend, but I would do this for my husband and wife. But then you got some people who will still operate the same in or out of marriage. So I think that's an individual decision, but I don't think there's a huge financial incentive to being married, unless again somebody dies or gets divorced, and then you're not married anymore anyway. Because and then you have some people that share accounts or not share accounts, but again, that's an individual decision that can be made regardless of your marital status. Right. So I don't think that's a component that comes specifically by being married.
Right, because I mean, there's a lot of married couples that don't have joint accounts.
Yeah.
That still have separate accounts.
Right, that don't even have joint money, at all.
Your money's yours and mine is mine.
Right.
That's just it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, for me, those are the thoughts that I would have about the benefits.
I think from my perspective, it was what I answered earlier. It's a feeling from God that you did not know was available until you get married. So you don't know that feeling is present until you get married. And a question to you, did you feel as a woman like, not from the God perspective, but like in your own personal sense, like I was picked. Like not all women get married, and not all women are asked to be married. And like you can know 25 women in your circle, and 6 might be married, but all of them want to be. So it doesn't happen for everybody, but it's like, damn, I'm one of the ones who got picked. I got married.
I don't necessarily...
And not picked like you special, but like you said, I was on this side, now I'm on this side. And a transition to say not picked.
You know what? I wouldn't necessarily look at it that way. What I more so feel is like, I'm grateful that I found a partner that I want to pick. Like, not like you were lucky to find me, but I feel lucky that I found somebody that's like, he's worthy of being my husband. Because I mean, looking at it, I don't want to speak for everybody, but as a woman, I know that and we all have opportunities to grow in certain areas, but overall, I know that I'm wife material. So the fact that somebody wanted me to be their wife is not a shock to me. I'm grateful for it, and it makes me feel loved and special. Like, I remember the day you asked me to marry you. Like, it was Christmas Eve, 2002. I remember everything about it. So, like, that part, yeah, I love, like, it's like, oh my God, yes.
Did that day you think you was wife material?
That
Not being
day,
cocky or arrogant,
no.
but just
I don't take it that way at all. I don't know if
And that's why I changed it from pick to, like, transition, because I don't want it to sound like,
I don't think it was
walking past a basket and picking you out, like,
I don't think I didn't take it in a negative way. I mean, some people may feel like, yay, like, I finally got picked. I finally got asked. You might have some people who've been in 19 different relationships and never been proposed to, and that's what they're out there seeking.
Most women won't get married unless you get asked. I mean, there's very few women who ask men to marry them.
Yeah, I'm not asking.
So that's what I'm saying. Most women won't get married unless you get asked to.
Right. So did I feel like I was wife material? To be honest, I want to say yes. I was completely wrong though. Like, when I think about it in hindsight, in no way, shape, or form, had your situation not been what it was, I don't think we would be here today together or in this capacity. As broken as we were at that time, at that young age. In 2002, I was 21. It was a month before my 22nd birthday. I was not prepared to be, as much as I may have been living the wife role, doing the wife things, I was in no way, shape, or form prepared to be somebody's wife. I probably wasn't that good of a girlfriend to, I'm just saying, I mean, I didn't know the type of woman that I wanted to be for me. Oh, you shook your head no? I didn't know the type of woman that I wanted to be for me, let alone who I needed to be for me, and then who I needed to be for you. I didn't know what type of woman you wanted or needed. We weren't having those conversations then. So I was happy at oh my God, he asked me to marry him. And I think I always kind of I felt like once we got together, I never thought we wouldn't be together. So I can't say that I had know, I like to be surprised. I had no inkling that was coming. Like that, it was just like, I wouldn't have said, oh, I think he's going to propose at this time. Like, I don't even think I thought about when you would propose. I just knew I don't even think I thought about the proposal. I just knew we would get married. No, I knew we would be together forever. That's all I knew. How it would happen, how it would plan out. One day we would get married. But so to answer your question, no, I was not wife material then. I'm sure I thought I was, but I was absolutely wrong.
I felt like it obviously was the braid thing. You're talking about your spouse and God, and again, you don't know that feeling is present until you are in that, wherever you get married at and saying vows. That whole process, not seeing, your soon to be wife for all day, and like, it's just the pageantry that leads up to it, that along with the God complex, and you just feeling like, cause it's like, I don't know, what do you say to the people who, was doing wife, like in our situation, there's girlfriends out there who are dope, who do wife shit, probably better than some wives. So it's just like, what do you say to them just because, they're doing wife things and they're not married? But there is some transition, especially with the God complex and the grace that you feel like, God said you can't leave. So under his order, whatever the situation is, unless it's, domestic violence or infidelity, even that God says work through it. But, down here, we kind of make choices to say, like, that's the standard, and if you go past the standard, then there's grounds for that.
Right.
But yeah, I just look at it like it's you I don't know how to explain it. Like, I felt like you was always in my corner, but it's not like it went up tenfold, but it's a difference. It's a difference, and I don't know whether it's because of the longevity of our relationship, but because I'm used to you like caring about me. But I did feel an extra level of care when we got married. I did see you in a different light. And it's weird because you didn't feel that way in the beginning. Like you said, you just was like, let's just sign these papers and
make my name D's.
Tuesday gonna be the same as Monday. And it was like, no, like I don't even want to do it if you feel like that. Like, I'm feeling weird in the inside. How you not feeling weird?
Right.
Like, and you're the female. So it's like, it's different. It's gotta be different. Shit's gotta be different. And the marital counseling, the premarital counseling, all that stuff helped out. But I do think it's grace from God. I think it's grace that God puts between y'all, where you just feel like, damn, like, not damn in a bad way, but this is my person and this is who I trek through life with. So, this is what it is.
It's so weird. You two things you said, and I don't know why. I've never like played video games. You're not a gamer, but it just gave me images of like a video game in a sense where you said it was like a feeling that that you didn't even know existed or that you weren't privy to until you got married, and it made me think about like unlocking a new level. Like, you don't even know what's behind that level, because until you get married, you can't get there. So you don't know what you don't know what it feels like. You might think you know what it looks like, seeing how it looks on other people, but you have absolutely no idea what it feels like until you get to that level. And then when you said like raising to another level, or like seeing me in another light, it like gave me that image. I don't know if it's like Mario Brothers, who has a princess in it, where it's like that aura around her.
Mario Brothers has a princess.
Yeah, where it's like that aura around her. But I agree, it's that feeling of I can't even explain it, but you're right. It was kind of weird to me. I remember leading up to us getting married, I was going for a walk in the park we used to go to, and I remember one night us standing there face to face, and it's dark. We used to go to the park after date night on Friday, so this like 10:30 at night. We in the park, standing there talking. Two occasions. One, we were standing there talking about like that war memorial monument, and another time we were on the bleachers and like having a real in-depth conversation where you kind of express like, I don't want to do this if you're thinking of that this isn't like something that's more important than just a piece of paper. And it was kind of shocking to me, like, what do you mean you don't want to do this? Like, that's not an option. Like, we're going to do it, but I didn't understand. It was kind of like you were saying, if your heart isn't in it, then don't do it. And it wasn't that my heart wasn't in it, I just didn't realize the gravity of it. And in hindsight, again, I think because the examples of marriage that we had in our life were subpar. Like, it wasn't anything that we aspired to be.
That's being kind.
Right. But what we had, even prior to marriage, in our opinion, and based on what we needed, maybe not to others, but based on what we needed and wanted from each other and in our lives, was it's kind of like when we talk about standards. It was way above the standard that had been set for us. So I think in some kind of ways I was content with it, where it was like, why, I don't want to say why you being greedy, but it's like, what more do you expect? Realizing there was so much more in store. And when I think about our wedding day, how, and I don't want to sound like a broken record because I think I told y'all this before. When I say how everything aligned and was like perfect, like I'm talking about, y'all who know me know I'm never on time for anything. I was on time for appointments. It was no traffic stopping me from doing anything. I was getting to where, like, everything just ran so smooth that day, where it was like the blessings from God had started leading up to the altar. And I remember coming home, and
well, nobody wants to have a shitty day before you get, or a shitty 9 hours before you get married.
But for some people, that might be their story. But, you know, for us, it just wasn't. And I remember after getting we weren't supposed to see each other. And after getting my makeup done, I had to come home and, like, get my bag and stuff to go, you know, to the venue to get dressed and get ready. But you weren't supposed to be there. You weren't supposed to see me. And as I'm coming up the block, you were outside, and I just started crying like, no. And I had did so good. I think that might have been the first cry that I had, like, I love you and I don't want you to see me. And it was really emotional, but it definitely was one of them. You described it perfectly. Like, it's like a feeling you don't, maybe that's how people feel when they have kids. It's like a feeling you don't know exists until you do it. You can think, you know, you done been to 19 weddings. You might have been to you might have been a bridesmaid. You might know people that are married and love them dearly. But it's truly one of those things that you don't know that feeling. And it makes me think, like, no matter how good or bad somebody's relationship goes, but when you think about people's wedding pictures on the day and you see how happy they are, I understand. I understand that happiness. Now, unfortunately, don't always last, right?
Is something different, but that day seems like it was a dope day.
Yeah.
Like, it was, you know, it's a shame that day is the highest point for some people's marriages,
right? Unfortunately,
which it shouldn't be that way,
right?
But yeah, that's a so from my perspective, yeah, you gain grace, and the financial part, you were saying, I don't think necessarily it's an incentive that when you get married is a financial aspect. Even when you get divorced, you hurt. You know, nobody wants to be divorced. And definitely when somebody dies, if you died, there's no amount of money nobody can give me and no policy that's going to be an incentive to me to make me feel better.
Right.
Like, that shit's there. It might help, but I'm just saying that word incentive is like a reward.
It was a misplaced word.
Reward. Like, nah, like, I don't give a shit if it's $2 million. Like, that shit can sit there for years. I'm bummed I don't have my wife. Like, so I just don't think it would be an incentive either way if you're divorced. Now, some women, it's an incentive to them. Some men nowadays are
Asking for
suing in alimony and stuff like palimony. But yeah, I wouldn't consider it an incentive, especially if you passed away.
Yeah, wrong word. But I just meant from the sense of any, the way that the question was like, what benefits do you get from being married? And
that's a real benefit, a death benefit. Like that's not an incentive to like, oh my God, my husband died, but I got all this money. Like,
right.
I'm better now.
I just meant in the terms of being like the beneficiary, but again, that's in an unfortunate situation. So you ain't thinking about it may be financially beneficial, God forbid that person passes, but you're right, it's not an incentive.
Next topic is kind of sensitive, and it's about mental health, and I just want to say I am all for mental health and bettering yourself and healing yourself from things that you think you might need healing from. I think it's a stigma around mental health that should be not there anymore. People who want to get therapy or get help or seek any type of refuge from what's going on inside them, they should. And I'm all for that. But I watch a lot of interviews and a lot of podcasts. I read a lot of online stuff, and I listen to a lot, well, not a lot, but a few audio books. And there's like a mental health train, just like eating healthy foods, and like it's like a train that rides through our culture that people jump on. And to me, it dampens the people who really have mental health issues, who really need to sit down with a counselor or try to work out things within themselves. But it's mental health can't be attached to everything, and that's the problem. And I just want to call that out. Everybody thinks that everything they go through is mental health just because it's out here. And it's like it's a term that wasn't used 10 years ago, but now it's quote unquote not catchable. It's cool to say. Like if somebody has a stressful day, it's mental health. If somebody has if somebody says, "Oh, let me work a lot and get some overtime," and then all of a sudden they feel tired, it's like mental health. And it's like, no, you just worked a lot of hours. Like everything can't be mental health. Like, and it's bad. It's bad. Another bad stigma on mental health people or people with real issues when people are just riding the train and saying every little thing that they went through or go through is mental health. It's like when do you get to be an adult and make decisions in your life that aren't affected by something that happened when you were 4 or 5 years old? And I'm not saying, again, there's stuff wrong. Not wrong, because my therapist told me not to say this. There's stuff that within me I want to fix. I'm not as social as I want to be. I don't have the relationships in my life that I want to have with my mom and my daughter, and I don't know how to make friends and things like that. So I those things will be in my life, and I'll deal with those things for the rest of my life probably because of the captivity I was in and the bondage I was in, the things in my life that I put myself through. But it's like I'll deal with those things. I go to therapy. I have coping skills to deal with those things. When I feel those feelings come up, I feel them. I don't turn them down. I don't run away from them. I feel all that I need to feel at that moment. But I also move on, and I also like tomorrow is the answers for yesterday's prayers. And I'm not going to pray every day and ask God to give me another 24 hours to be a better person, to try to show him I'm a better person, to be a better husband and all this stuff, and use that 24 hours to sulk and be down on myself because I don't have a relationship with my mom or this ain't going right. It's like I'm going to use those 24 hours to live my life, be as happy as I can be. If those feelings arise in my life, I'll try to use my coping skills to try to simmer that feeling down. But I'm moving on. I'm not living my life just worried about that kind of stuff that happened to me when I was young and attach it to mental health just because everybody else is saying so. Like I'm like I said, tomorrow is the answer to yesterday's prayers. We pray every night to ask God for another day, just to be better, just to do this, just to get up, just to breathe his air again. And I'm not using that day to be sad. I just feel like at a certain point, things are choices. Now, I'm not talking about real tragic things that happen in people's lives. I've acknowledged that in the beginning, but I'm just saying how people attach mental health on every little small thing, every part of the day. And it's like, no, we just adults. There's shit in our lives we go through. And yeah, we do need to take our mental health seriously and have peace time and have bandwidth. But everything from morning till night can't be mental health.
So I think while I agree with you in some small part, I think that right there epitomizes that tough love that you get. And not that it's wrong, but
it's
that
me,
is,
and that's who I show up as. That's who I'm gonna be.
Yeah,
that's who I'm always gonna be. Like I'm gonna be. I'm sensitive too, and you understand that. Like
right.
You're my wife. You know I'm sensitive. I have feelings. I cry when I need to cry. Like I'm not saying like, you know, I got this exterior where things don't bother me. Like I just named a bunch of things that bother me
right.
from time to time. And when those things arise, that's why I have resources to be in therapy. So when those things arise, I'm taking my coping skills that I've learned and I'm going to try to deal with those issues. But for me to ask God for another 24 hours and wake up and take that 24 hours to feel sad because me and my mom don't talk, I'm not doing it. Or to be sad because this person didn't call me, I'm not doing it. Like, I'm not using my 24 hours for that if he blesses me with that. Like, I'm just going to choose because I'm an adult and I know I have some issues and I just acknowledge that I'm trying to pick up coping skills to deal with them, but I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not going to just go 16 straight days sad because I don't speak to my mom, or 16 straight days because I feel like life is coming down on me. Like, no, to me, that's a choice in some instances. You can just say, you know what? This is what I'm feeling. Let me feel this. Let me cry about it. Let me pull from what I can pull from therapy. But I'm getting up and being happy today. I think that's a choice. So and that's all I'm saying. And that's just my opinion. That's me.
That's what I'm saying. And that's great for you. I think that, and I don't want to say nobody, but I don't want to quantify it to say few, some, or whatever. There are people who want to have that same mentality and it just don't work out for them. They don't make the choice to say, you know what, I'm just going to use this day and be sad. They want to very much not be sad. They want to very much have the coping skills to get through that day. And sometimes that thing that's on their back that they're carrying, that bag is like a steel trunk and it's so heavy they can't. So your 24 hours that you feel like, you know what, if God give me this 24 hours, it might take them 72 hours to get to that point.
And that's cool. That's cool.
And that's what I'm saying. Not saying that what you're saying is wrong. That is your way. And I'm sure other people would like, because it, like you said, it comes and you get through it. And people would like to be able to.
I'm sorry, not to cut you. I don't want to lose this thought. I'm not talking about people who deal with real issues, is what I'm saying. Like, if you have some traumatic stuff that happened in your life, and I'm not here to distinguish that. I'm just saying there's a difference between people who wake up with a headache and think it's mental health, and it's people who wake up with some real shit on their heart and it's mental health. And it's like, okay, but because you tired when you wake up in the morning or because you got a headache, that ain't mental health all the time.
It could be the same example you said. It could be somebody who has a failing relationship with their mother, a unhealthy relationship with their child. And not saying, I mean, those terms may not be completely applicable to you, but it could be someone who is facing similar circumstances where their parental relationship and their child relationship with their parent, their relationship with their child and their relationship with their parent isn't what they want it to be. So it could be the very same circumstance. They just may not be able to shake it in the same capacity as you. It may weigh heavier on them than it does on you. Not saying that they should allow it to hold them down for a week or 2 weeks or a month or longer, but it just may not, it just may be something that may take an extra day, an extra push, or they may just need to lie in the bed and just sulk for that day and before they're able to shake it off. And not even saying that they wouldn't want it to be able to get through it sooner, but is that always the healthiest way? Because sometimes when you're pushing through it, I think, and not saying you, I'm saying people in general, when you're pushing through something, are you really getting through it, or are you pushing down the other feelings, in a sense, suppressing them just to get through your day? And is that the best way? Sometimes maybe so. Sometimes if you keep going, you can shake it off. But sometimes if you don't address it and you just keep going, it's going to rear itself. And we learned
this. But you talking about shaking it off, where it's like, I never said anybody was shaking anything off. That's the thing. I'm speaking about me. I feel what I'm supposed to feel. If I wake up and I feel sad for that moment. What I'm saying is, the people who attach mental health to that, like, okay, now I need a week in bed, or now I'm just so sad, when it's like, to a certain degree, it's a choice. Like, I'm not saying hide away from your feelings. I'm not saying that at all, or push anything down or suppress anything. If you feel sad, you feel angry, feel those feelings. Go in the bathroom and cry. Talk to your spouse. Do whatever you have to do. Get it all out. But what I'm saying is, it's certain things in life as an adult you learn you can't control. And I can't control nobody not talking to me. I can't control nobody not calling me. And I know that as an adult. It's like information for me. So now that I have that information, then that's how I move. Like, and that's just me. Like, it might not work for everybody, but it's like, okay, I can't control a person calling me. I can't control a person talking to me. So why? That's my thought when I feel sad. Damn, this is fucked up, shouldn't be like this, but I can't do anything. I can't put my hands on it to change it. So I'm not going to spend the rest of my day dwelling about that, because I can't physically change it. Now, things that I can physically change, if it's me and you, Tosh, let's sit down, I need to talk to you about something, I can change that. But if it's something else that I can't reach and change, it's not going to control my day. It's not going to control my feelings. And that's can be a tough love type of thing, but I just found that's how it works for me. And I don't feel like I'm suppressing anything. I feel like when shit bothers me, I stay in the driveway and sit for 15 minutes. I come and talk to you. I cry when I'm taking a shit. I drive home in silence without the radio on and have my thoughts. Like, I feel what I'm supposed to feel, but I don't want to be one of them people that attach mental health to everything. Like, that's all I'm saying.
So, and I'm not saying that you're suppressing anything.
And there's people, it's like a train riding through, and people is like, oh, it's mental health, let's grab on that.
But see,
and it's people on the train that really have mental health issues. And I see it. And that's just me. You probably don't.
No, I hear what you're saying.
I want to hear your perspective, but that's what I see. That's who I am. That's who I'm going to show up as every day. And that's how I feel about the mental health.
I hear what you're saying. What I'm saying is that's great for you. That doesn't work for everybody else. That's all I'm saying. And I think the problem that comes along with mental health is just like when we talk about, but just like with autism diagnoses, there's a spectrum. Mm-hmm. So you could have somebody who is highly functional, and there may be no signs or no indicators that this person is anywhere on that spectrum. It doesn't mean that they aren't. Now, you may have some people that are at the highest part of the spectrum where it's visible to the eye. You can tell in whether it's their speech,
nonverbal or whatever.
Yeah, whether it's their speech, their lack of speech, their mobility, lack of mobility. Like, it's known that they have this thing. I think it's the same with mental health, and what people don't realize, not everything is a mental health disorder. I think where I strongly disagree with you is that let me not say everybody, majority of people deal with mental health issues, not on an everyday basis, and you may not necessarily have a mental health diagnosis or disorder, but we have things that impact our mental well-being, and unfortunately it has been unaddressed in mass for far too long. So the fact that people are jumping on the mental health train, I think is a good thing. I think at some point you will have to weed out, and help people to realize, okay, if this is the tag you're putting on your toe to say this is a mental health issue, what's next? Because now you can't just hold on to it. You have to get treatment, or you have to talk. And treatment doesn't have to be medication, but talk to somebody, find coping skills, find ways to get through this. Don't allow it to linger in your life. But I think just like,
how many people you know say they have mental health and never been to a doctor?
Well, see, again, I don't know
say
people
like
that say they have mental.
No, not mental health disorders, but just say my mental health, my mental health, my mental health, my mental health. But you ask them, damn, you been to see somebody? They're like, nope.
I don't talk to that many people. So, but I do know there are people that deal with things that I see, that I recognize as like, you should talk to somebody, and they may not acknowledge it, or just, people feeling completely overwhelmed by life, or people, whether it's grief, whether it's people feeling depression because of things that have happened to their childhood. We know childhood traumas affect you in ways that you have absolutely no idea, which we find out in counseling, where you like, this happened in the kitchen. What the hell do they have to do with my kitchen when I was 3 years old? But when you really start connecting the dots, you'll find that there is a connection. So I think that it is one of those things where in the medical world, in the mental health world, and maybe I doubt that I'm the first person to say this, but there needs to be, outside of just specific diagnoses, a spectrum, because there are some people that can be dealing with, you know how many kids have PTSD out in this world?
Yeah,
and they
I was
don't
one
even
of them.
Well, but I'm talking about, but see, you're at the age now where you recognize. I'm talking about the kids who don't even recognize it yet.
Yeah, but you only know what you know, though. So it's not like they even understand that. Like,
right, and they won't
them,
know until it
normal.
manifests in their adult
It's just
life.
normal if it manifests. Some people, it doesn't manifest, and according to what type of lifestyle they lead.
So I think it's one of those things where there is a spectrum. Again, not everybody has a mental health disorder where they need to be in, consistent intensive outpatient therapy services. You have some people at the highest level where they might need intense inpatient services, but there is a spectrum of it. So the fact that there's this train moving and the conversation is happening, I think is a good thing. But hopefully through that conversation, people will start to get some real education and not just talk about it. Like, don't just talk about the things that are happening.
That's my point, that people are just talking about it because it's the popular thing. And I'm not here to distinguish who has real mental health and not. And again, childhood trauma, I've learned in my therapy sessions that it does affect you in your adult life, but not all childhood trauma is detrimental to you in your adult life.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. Some things happen to you in your childhood that you be like, damn, this is why I am the way I am, or this is why.
And once you recognize it, then you can change.
But not everything that happens in your childhood manifests into your adult life for you to look back at your childhood and be like, well, this is why I say this word. This is why I walk to the store this way. This is why, like, it can't be that, because everything we do from morning till noon will be, this is why I talk like this. This is why I engage with people like this. I mean, it's just gets to a point where it's a blurred line. And like you said, maybe there is a spectrum, but all I'm saying is that everybody on the train doesn't need to be on the train. It's all I'm saying. It varies because it's a blurred line, and not if we become that sensitive where everything from your childhood affects you now, it's like, what decisions did you make as an adult to overcome that? And I'm not saying everybody has the resources and coping skills to do so, but if you really, really have mental health, you think you would seek those things in some type of form or capacity.
I think that's why the train needs to continue, so that people will start
whether it be through welfare or whatever. Like, there's ways to seek out if you really think, like, I got some mental health issues.
It doesn't even have to be that deep. It could just be something I'm
sorry. I know people that talk about mental health all the time. And if I ask them, did you go see somebody about that? It's like, nah. But it's like every day you talk about your mental health. But if somebody give you resources, or, here's a number, here's a card, you don't act on it. It's like how much mental health, like how are you worried about it that much, or just it's just the cool thing to talk about every day?
I don't think it's that at all. I think it's one of those things where it is a cry for help, and sometimes getting that help can be scary. Sometimes people don't know where to start. It's not cheap. And yeah, welfare benefits will provide for it, but I'll be the first to tell you, how can I say this? I don't want to say the most qualified doctors, but the availability of providers through state assistance is not as wide as it is through private insurance or even through self-pay, because let's also remember there are a lot of mental health professionals that doesn't accept any insurance for whatever reason. That's their right to do so, and it can be expensive. So I don't think people talk about it. I think the people that are talking about it is a cry for help, and they just have to realize it's one of those things. It's like a old person who will constantly talk about their knee hurting, their knee hurting, their knee hurting, their knee hurting, and they never go to the doctor. It doesn't mean that their knee doesn't really hurt. They probably scared. They don't know they probably think the doctor gonna want to cut their leg off.
But what if their knee don't hurt? That's all. My whole point is, I'm not against mental health. I'm saying people who talk about it every day, I know it's expensive. I understand that, but it's like when you're going to seek the resources for it is all I'm saying.
And it may be never. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, and that's
sad to say, but it may be. We just watched a podcast where a guy talked about the fact that he don't want to go to the doctor because he don't want to hear what they got to say. There are some people who are they're afraid, and again, it's one of those things too where it's like, and we know, the healing process can hurt. Like, it can hurt, and some people are just afraid to start that process. You don't know what it's going to unlock. And then God forbid you start the process and it's getting good, and then you don't have the money to continue paying for. So now you really SOL. Like, there's a lot of factors. Then there's just some people, somebody who I love dearly recently mentioned to me that because they not that they are against mental health services, they just feel their preference is to seek spiritual intervention, which is all well and good to the point. Well, just prayer. Like, I'm gonna talk to God about this. I'm gonna read the Bible. Like, which is all well and good to the point. To me, I feel like sometimes God be like, girl, boy, man, sir, this why that person went to school, because I have given them the knowledge to be able to provide you with the treatment. And not to say that God can't talk to you and answer prayers and help you get through stuff, but sometimes the answer to his prayers is go call that counselor so that you can have a bi-weekly appointment. But recently, talking to somebody who I love, they mentioned, like, not that they were against it, but they had just preferred to go the other way, but they have now been considering, so I think whether I don't want to take credit for it at all, but whether it's through people like us who talk about our healing process, or whether it's through that train continuing to run, then people will start, jumping on it. I think it's a good thing. Now, at some point, yes, the people who don't truly have issues, and I don't want to say don't truly have issues, because who are we to determine what's really an issue? It's almost like saying, then how far does it go? Does all 8 billion people on the planet have mental health issues? That's where I draw the line at. Because it's like, and I understand there was a stigma on it, but it's like, it's the most popular thing to talk about now, and that's what we're not taking into consideration. And it's like everybody wants to be a part of the popular thing. And you got to take that into consideration. And I'm not saying that for some people it's not real. It's real for me. It's real for you. That's why we seek help. But I'm just saying, I just don't think it's a bad club to be in. It's not a bad club to be in to want to have that conversation. If you just want to be a part of the conversation just to listen. And that's who I'm talking about. But guess what? That ain't bad, though, because at some point, maybe you will need that knowledge in the future. Well, I didn't know you were going to throw just to listen on there. I thought you were just going to say you just want to be in a conversation just to be talking about it, just because your friend talking about it. Like, just because, like I said, you woke up and made pancakes wrong, it's your mental health. Well, you woke up and did this wrong, it's your mental health. Oh my God, I curled my hair wrong, it's got to be something wrong with my mental health. No, like, minor things like that, it's not. That's what I mean. The attachment to it isn't like, oh my God, my kids got on my nerves. No, your kids got on your nerves because they bad as hell. Like, they got bad kids. Like, but I think we also need to change the vernacular, because everything isn't mental health, per se. Some things we just have to focus on our mental fitness. Like, you have to do things to exercise your brain to use it in different capacities.
Bandwidth,
so
like
that
not take so much in.
so
Know
that
your limits.
so
things
that
like
you don't feel so overwhelmed. Or sometimes it's not mental health, but you have to focus on your mental wellness. What the things that you're taking in, if it's all negative, weed out some of that and take in more positive stuff, or leave space to not take in anything so that your brain can kind of refresh itself from the constant overload of information.
And I know it's harder for other people, and it's probably my tough love coming out again, but if you have this information and you're supposed to care about your peace, and you've heard this term before, then it's like, okay, care about your peace. Like, I know it's not easy to not be around people that you shouldn't be around, especially if they family or your friends or something like that. But that's caring about your peace. If this person bothers your peace, then you shouldn't be around that person, or maybe not as much. So do things like that, minor things, that small resources that you can take in that doesn't cost anything. Practice those and see what happens then. But you keep being around people or keep doing the same thing and then keep saying mental health, mental health. Maybe it's the group of people that you're around. Change that. Maybe it's what you're doing. Maybe it's the lifestyle you live in. Change that. Like, all that stuff can be contributing factors to your mental fitness or whatever.
Yeah, and again, y'all gotta understand, this is how my baby leads, with tough love, and you just gotta take the pieces of it that you choose to, and
I'm just speaking about me. It's just my opinion.
Because one of the things that I've learned in life is that it's the people that's closest to you that will hurt you the most. Maybe not even intentionally, but I don't want to say that will hurt you the most, that you are hurt by the most. So again, maybe it's not intentional, but through their actions, through their words, through their inactions, through their lack of words. And when that is the situation, when you say cut those people out of your life, that makes it that much harder, because it ain't like, oh, you got this bad friend who is doing things to you and it's like, I can cut her off or I can cut him off. But it's when it's a parent, when it's a sibling, when it's a child, somebody who your heart is really attached to.
But it's also the person that you said hurt you the most in life. So you probably cut friends off for less than that. This person you're speaking about, whether it's son, daughter, spouse, father, or mom, you just said the words hurt you the most in life. So you, with that information, saying, of all the people I met in my life and had relationships with, this person hurts me the most.
Well, what I'm saying is, it may not necessarily it may not necessarily be their action or the whatever may have occurred or not occurred. It may just be the fact of what that relationship is. So it may be something smaller than what a friend may have done, but because of that close relationship is why it hurts the most. So I don't mean they hurt you the most in terms of what they do or the frequency of how they hurt you, but it just hurts the most because in some situations of who it is.
So and what I'm saying
is, but let me finish. What I'm saying is, because of that familial bond or that marital bond or whatever the situation is, that parental bond, it makes it harder for some people, and I know for others it may not, but for some people, I would like to say for most people, and I could be wrong, it makes it harder to cut off your child, to cut off your parent, to cut off your sibling, despite them hurting you, which is very detrimental to your own peace. It is. I'm not disagreeing with that. It's very detrimental to your mental well-being. It doesn't mean that it's difficult. You think about how many people stay in abusive relationships because it's hard to leave somebody you love, no matter how much they're hurting you. Why do you think women or men are abused for years without leaving?
I think the domestic violence thing is different because there's a fear aspect.
Even if it's not physical violence.
I'm just saying, if you're talking about a person who hurt you the most in life, then if you care about your peace, when I'm around this person, I'm unpeaceful. And I know this. So why would I be around this person? Like, if I care about my peace. So it's not like I don't have this information. Every time, if it's a cousin, every time I'm around you, we fucking fight. Why the fuck would I keep going around you? It's like, I'm going to go to the cookout again knowing we just fought a month ago, and I'm going to show up again knowing you bother my peace? No.
It makes perfect sense, but how often do we do things that make perfect sense?
And if I look back in my life and say, okay, these are the people that hurt me the most in my life, I think that's easy to be like, okay,
But again, you're not listening. It's not that they hurt you the most with their actions. It hurts the most when something goes wrong because of who they are. That's what I was saying.
But I'm saying, how does it hurt the most because of who they are when that relationship has never been what you wanted it to be? It's never been that. So if it's been a tumultuous, or if it's been a relationship where there's been some molestation or just a domestic beating where your mom or dad beat you to death when you was a kid or something like that, that's a relationship, it's never been love. So if these people hurt you the most, why is it so hard for you to let go of that relationship when you never, it's not like they loved you up and you know what that is and then they fucking started beating you. No, you never got that from them. So you never created that bond with them.
But that in of itself, and I'm not going to speak in any clinical terms because I don't know the right terminology to use, but it has been proven over and over again that people seek love.
I understand that
right
too.
So in that situation,
from the person who hits them and abuse them,
well, not only that, from the person, it doesn't even have to be that far, like the abuser, but from the person that you didn't get that love from, that you seek it the most. So let's say take out molestation, physical abuse, domestic violence, any of that kind of stuff. But it's like, if your mother wasn't as loving as you wanted her to be, but you had the best father in the world, for whatever reason, our brains, it's like kind of that, like a puppy, like I want to make you love me, I want to get your attention, I want to prove it. Maybe that's what it is, a sense of like wanting to prove, like, see, I am worthy, I am you can love me, I am good enough for you to love me.
I'm just, my thing is, when you get to be an adult, and this is just something I've learned, and I'm 44 years old and I'm starting to learn about myself as I'm learning who Walter is. Like, you get one life and this life is short. And I spent 23 years in bondage. And it's no way in hell I'm coming out and letting people stop my peace every day. I'm going to be peaceful because I choose to be peaceful. I'm going to be happy because I choose to. And when these feelings come up of the things that I deal with, I'll come and face them head on and deal with them. And I'll go to my resources. I'll go to my friend. But I am not letting things that happen in my life control the rest of my life. 23 years is a long fucking time, and we don't have much left. I'm 44, so I don't know if I'm gonna live another 44 years. I hope to, but I'm not spending the rest of my years being upset at things that happened at me when I was 5 or 9. When they come about and they bother me, I'll deal with them, but I'm not waking up and spending weeks and months wondering why this person that I can't control don't have a relationship with me. They're not thinking about me, and I'm not sitting and sulking about that. That's just how I'm moving.
Well, I would pray that.
It's a short time on this earth, everybody. And you don't know if you're going to die tomorrow. And I'm not going to spend 16, I'm not keep saying that, but a period of time sulking about something, and then I die the next day. What am I, like, what did I live for? What was I doing? And the person that I'm sulking about they're just going on living their life. No, it's like it comes a point in time where it's like, okay, let me get some resources, let me think this through and move accordingly.
My prayer would be for those who may be struggling, whether it's with familial issues, personal, internal issues, that they would find the strength and courage to keep moving forward, and to get not just moving forward in the sense of suppressing it, but getting the help that they needed if it's deemed that help is needed. If you can help yourself and talking yourself out of it, that you maybe you're not going to find the strength in 24 hours, like he said, where, your prayers today will be answered tomorrow. Maybe your prayers today will be answered next Tuesday. If that's the case.
Tomorrow is the answers for yesterday's prayers. So we go to sleep every night asking God for another day. Tomorrow, the fact that you woke up is the answer for yesterday's prayers.
I understood what you were saying.
I'm not going to take that day that God gave me and I open my eyes and he let me breathe again, and I'm going to be like, this is what you're going to do with the day, bro? You're not going to put a smile on your face? You're not going to do something nice for somebody? You're not going to look around and appreciate the things that you have?
Can't?
I know for some people, I'm acknowledging that. I know for some people they can. But I'm talking about for those people that's just on the choo-choo train.
All aboard the train. Get the help that you need. And be serious about it. Be serious about your own healing process, because nobody can tell you what your journey should look like. And no matter how much we talk to each other about, and talk to our counselor about, or our therapist, I don't know if I think therapist is the better term. No matter how much we talk about how we feel, and we are very transparent with our feelings, he will never, ever, ever understand what's inside my head, what's inside my heart, and vice versa. He can tell me until he's blue in the face, and I can be sympathetic and empathetic. I can be consoling. I can be, the friend that he needs, but I'll never understand it. So it's the same for everybody else. Nobody will ever fully understand. It doesn't mean that they don't care, but just make sure. And May is Mental Health Awareness Month. It's so weird because time is going so fast. I feel like this was just a few months ago, but we never stopped talking about mental health, because again, it's not just mental health, it's mental wellness, mental fitness, all of that.
It's a part of our
together.
life. It's a part of our lifestyle. It's what we do once we learn, our coping skills and all that. We know that we need it with us in life. Right. So that's, we use our resources for that. But again, I acknowledge mental health. I'm acknowledging people with real issues, and I go to therapy. So I'm not saying I'm against therapy, or I'm just against people that just speak it every day and nothing. It's not, I don't even know how to word it. I'm just saying what I'm saying. And that's it.
You said something really important, and maybe I think this would be a great topic for a next or a future episode. You said, you're learning who Walter is. And there's a question that I heard come up a couple times over the last few weeks, and it's been making me think about myself. And I'm gonna ask y'all too, so that when we have this conversation in the future, maybe we'll be prepared to everyone have the conversation. Who are you? And you don't have to.
Yeah, I can't.
Y'all about to say you don't have to answer that right now. But like you said, you're learning who Walter is, and it made me think, who are you? And I've been thinking that about myself as well. Like outside of any attachments to anybody else. So outside of being Natasha's husband, right. Jada's dad. Like it was just something. And so when you said that, it just like kind of triggered in my mind.
I mean, obviously, I'm.
No,
44.
and I wasn't asking you to answer right now.
I know. I'm 44. I have core values, but that's coming to fruition who I am. What have you learned?
So there was something that I heard, two people that I think are very inspiring women. Milano, or the her name, that ain't her name, the girl that owns the brand, Milano de Rouge, she joined the podcast with Sarah Jakes Roberts. And one of the things that she talked about was using the term balanced. Like when people say, you're well balanced. And she's, through something that she heard or learned or read, whatever, she learned that term, when you think about it, when you're being balanced, like think about a balance beam. Like, you're kind of wobbly, like you're trying to keep your balance, and anything can tip you over, can make you fall from one side to another. So staying balanced isn't the easiest thing. Instead of trying to live a life of balance, what she has changed her mindset and her verbiage to say is that she is harmonizing. So she's not balancing her life, she's harmonizing, which it made me think in the sense of a choir. Like everybody has their place, everybody has their part, everybody falls into line where they're supposed to fall into line. And, it's more about harmonizing life and letting things fit into the place that they're supposed to fit in, instead of trying to balance things where any one thing could knock you off balance. So that was something that I heard, that I learned, that I thought was important, that I, kind of kept as a mental note for myself.
That doesn't work for me, but I hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
What part of that doesn't work for you?
Just the whole balance thing. I mean, if it works for her, it works for her. That's her thing.
I said what doesn't work for you.
If you're to me, if you're on a balance beam and you're trying to get balance, you're wobbly. Once you're balanced, that's called being balanced. You're still, you can't fall. That's how people walk tightropes. In my interpretation, when you're up there and you're doing this, and your hands aren't out, you don't have balance. But when you stop and you're stop shaking, that's balance. So I think in life, you go through life and you're wobbly. You're on there and you're trying to get balance. You're trying to get steady. You just might slip into the left, slip into the right. But once you plateau out and you're still, then you can't fall.
How many tightrope walkers, professional tightrope walkers, have fallen off to their death?
I only know the Wallendas.
That family, yeah. So you can be as balanced as you want to be.
29 of them and like 17 of them died. So
you can be as balanced as you want to be. Something can knock you off your rocker.
But they were walking ropes under fire, over fire, and on the Empire
I'm just
State
saying,
Building.
I like what she said. I internalized it for myself.
That's okay. You asked me what I didn't.
Okay, what did you learn?
I learned something weird that Malcolm McDonald grew his penis on his arm. There's a man who had a blood disease and his extremities turned black. His fingertips, his toes, his penis was getting necrosis. His penis fell off on the floor, hit the floor, boom. He picked it up, put it in the bin, went to the hospital. Spent 6 years, 2 years because of COVID. It would have went on in 4 years. They attached his penis to his forearm and grew it on his arm for 6 years. And then recently, about a month ago, they put it on. And
wait, they put it on what?
On his
like
genital area.
He's growing.
And he has a working urethra because he had a bag for that long that he peed in. And they took the vessels out his arm and veins, attached it, and he got blood flow. He got an erection. But 6 years with no penis. He got 2 kids. 6 years with no penis, grew it on his arm. Now he got a penis again. It just blew my mind. I never knew. I thought once your penis was off, it was off.
But I guess it makes sense because it's like if you think about somebody who gets their finger cut off, and like if you hurry, they can attach it if you hurry up.
And I know people like get nose jobs. They can get a flap of skin where they can grow a little extra skin for their nose. I know they take a piece of their nose and flap it up on their forehead, and it makes it grow because it's blood up here. Right, so they put the penis on his arm where there's a lot of blood flow and attaches his vessels to it, his arteries and stuff. It grew.
But that's what I'm saying. Like when you get, if your finger gets cut off, if you get to the hospital early enough,
they can attach
before everything dies. So that's probably what happened because he got to the hospital quick enough. They were. I
don't think so because his penis was completely black and fell off.
Oh, so they restored it. Wow.
And attached it to his arm. He grew another penis. It was small and grew.
Wait. Okay, wait a minute.
I'm talking about this is mind blowing.
Wait a minute. So they didn't attach the old penis?
It was black. It fell off on the floor. It fell off his body. That's how black it was.
So what did they attach to his arm?
A new penis that he grew on his arm.
I don't understand. That's bizarre. That's crazy.
Read about it. Look it up. Google it. It's a story. His name is Malcolm McDonald. He grew a penis on his arm. A new, fresh, pink penis. He's a white man. So
it makes you think what other stuff they be doing that they don't tell us about.
And his black necrosis penis fell off on the floor when he tells the story. It fell off and he put it in the bin. And he's from England because he calls it a bin.
I was about to say, when you say the bin, is that like the trash
Yeah.
can?
3 grams. A woman fires a shot at a man who refuses to give her oral sex. She pulled out a .40 caliber and shot at him because he had her over the house. And I guess she thought something was going down. It didn't go down. She drew down on him. Said, "You gonna eat me out?" And he said, whoa. No, I'm not. And she got the shooting.
Was this like a 68 situation and he owed her one?
I don't know. It didn't say that it was a 68 situation. It said she demanded oral and it didn't go down.
Where the hell he meet her at?
Mm-hmm.
Yikes. Where was this in Florida?
Could have been. Didn't say. Would you condone that?
Hell no.
Okay.
I'm not condoning shooting nobody. Now, if it's a situation where, no, to answer your question, I don't condone shooting nobody, nothing. If it was a situation where she did him and didn't, that's her fault because you should have never did him without him doing you, and then you got played. But under no circumstances.
That warrants a shot?
And under no circumstances you threaten somebody's life over a sex act.
Mm.
That's insane. I bet they were from Florida.
I'm gonna look at that. It didn't say in the story. Patrick Rouse from Rochester is a teacher who had a class full of kids, black and white, and he made his black kids pick cotton seeds and told the white kids they could play on their Chromebook.
Wow. So I saw this part of the story. It was also a situation where he handcuffed the kids and as if they were slaves.
Mm-hmm.
I think it also included Spanish kids. I don't know if the cotton picking included Spanish kids, but I know the handcuffing did because there was a mom and she said she didn't believe her son.
That was the Spanish kid. This was like black kids picking cotton.
No, I'm saying they were classmates. So I don't know if the Spanish kid also did the cotton picking or if it was just the black kids. But I know the Spanish kid and the black kids were handcuffed like slaves. That's one of those things where it's not surprising, but it's almost like you wish that all the teachers that had this in their spirit would just go ahead and do it so we can weed them out, because I'm sure there's a lot of them that have these the scariest part is that he just thought that he could get away with it. Like, I'm sure he didn't think he would. I don't know if he got fired. I think he was suspended, but I don't know if he got fired.
He got suspended.
And so I'm sure in his mind.
But it's 2022 though. Like, what? Just like the kid the other day who asked a girl to go on prom with some type of cotton on a fucking postcard or some shit. Like,
it said if I was black, well, it said the N-word. If I was the N-word, I would be picking cotton, but I'm white, so I'm picking you. Would you please go to prom with me?
And prom and picking was in cotton. Like, he stuck cotton on there. Like, I don't understand being 2022 why that's a problem. Or like when we was watching the other day and Van, he said every Halloween you got to explain why blackface is wrong. Yeah. Like, what is that? Like, what is wrong with people to have little kids picking cotton?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Like, how do you not? What do you live under a rock to not think that's problematic?
Yeah, I can't imagine that he didn't know that it was wrong, but I also can't imagine that he knew that his job would get taken. So I think it's probably that white privilege thing where he just felt like.
And it's a teacher thing. I'm telling you, they have tenure where they think they can't be fired.
Yeah, that white privilege attached with tenure where he just thought to himself, like, I can get away with this.
Last gram, my man Dave Chappelle was doing comedy at Hollywood Bowl, and dude rushed up and tackled him on stage, knocked him down. And when I tell you, they like beat this dude down, like Busta Rhymes, whole bunch of security, like Dave Chappelle, like they stopped. This dude's elbow went the wrong way. You know how your elbow go like this? Mm-hmm. Well, his elbow went that way. His elbow went that way, and his face looked like Martin. When Tommy Hearns fucked him up. He was badly beaten, and then he got on stage and joked about it. It just so happened that Chris Rock was there too, part of the lineup, and Chris Rock grabs the mic and says, "Was that Will Smith?" But yeah, this dude rushed up on stage, tackled Dave, and like,
what did he think was going to happen?
He had a gun, a replica gun that flicks out into a knife. It don't shoot. It turns into a knife. So it's a gun, but it flicks out into a blade.
So he was trying to hurt him.
Yeah. You should see the video. He ran up on stage and like one of them at him and knocked him down with the mic in his hand, and like 20 people came out of nowhere, and he took off running, and they caught his ass back behind that screen. And you know how you somebody got a white screen up, and then they go behind it, but you can see all the shadows. Yeah. It's like, y'all not hiding. Like, you can see everybody stomping the shit out this guy. Like, the whole crowd, I think it was in front of like 8,000 people. Like, the whole crowd can see the white screen, bro. Like, it's people.
They probably thought it was a joke until they realized it wasn't.
Like, they beat the shit out of this guy. And, it's like that whole Will Smith thing. Now, nobody can tell jokes. People gonna get rushed up on stage. So, out of all the comedians, you would think like, a person like who I like Schultz, who's a little bit edgy, somebody would rush his stage. But Dave?
But do you think it was like a Will Smith situation where he did that as a result of something Dave said that night, or do you think it was premeditated? Like, regardless, he had the plan.
He was saying. Either guy might have been talking and Dave might have said something to him, joked on him, and then moved on. And then the guy got up and tried to like rush. He did rush the stage, like knock Dave down.
People are crazy.
Yeah, it's out of pocket. But you can't tell jokes like of all comedians, like the top comedian.
You know what? I'm not surprised that I'm not surprised because, you know, Dave Chappelle, I don't think anybody is immune to craziness. Like, just because it's Dave Chappelle, because of the backlash he's been receiving, it would have made more sense to me if you said it was like premeditated and it was like a transgender person because of all the hoopla that was surrounding him over something that he didn't really say. That would have made like more sense, but I don't think anybody's immune to it. Top comedian or not, I think anybody can get it in this world. It's sad to say, but I think anybody can get it.
I haven't been. I mean, I've been watching comedy my whole life. I don't remember when people was rushing stages and trying to hit comedians.
No. I mean,
I don't remember when it was this prevalent. Like, because people are so sensitive that a joke. You go to a place where they're telling jokes. It's a comedy show. All they're gonna do all night is tell jokes.
Yeah.
And you get offended by a joke. Like, why the fuck do you even go? Like, they're gonna tell jokes. Some of the jokes you're gonna like, some of them you're not.
Yeah.
So why even like go there and be that way?
I think in this day and age,
it's like going to a football game and being mad because they playing football.
I think in this day and age, the world is going mad, and I think this is going to change the way performers, regardless if you're a comedian, a rapper, a singer, is going to change the setup of the stages of security, all that kind of stuff, because this world is just going crazy. The fact that that person got in there with a knife is scary too. Like, where's the metal detectors?
It's like a plastic gun and the bottom flicks out into the front like a blade. It's like the gun. It's not even a gun that shoots. It's actually a knife. It's just a gun.
Right, but well, I guess, can a knife be plastic? Because I'm thinking even if you had to go through a metal detector.
Yeah. I mean, no, the knife ain't no good if it's plastic. That shit can break. That's no good. That's a wrap. Act 2 the podcast, episode 69. Hope y'all enjoyed. I enjoyed doing it. Again, you can catch us on Act 2 the podcast, the website. You can catch us on Facebook. You can catch us on Instagram. You can catch us on YouTube, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Radio Public, TikTok, Breaker, and Spotify. Act 2 the podcast, episode 69. It's a wrap. If you fuck with us, you fuck with us. If you don't, you should. Peace.